become more aware of them? Thank you.
Yes, there are, but they have extremely elliptical orbits that are outside the plane of the ecliptic, and therefore they are very hard to see. So you have to look almost knowing where to look in order to see them, but you'll find them eventually. There are 3 more. The idea is that they will usually all be found within the next 50 of your years, as we read your energy now.
Hi, Bashar.
Good day. Good day.
This is amazing. Thank you for this opportunity.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Yes, I know. I actually wanted to talk to you about several things. Actually, just about my life.
Yes.
It's a bit emotional.
Oh, all right.
So 2 months back, something really nasty happened, and it had a big influence on my family, on me.
Yes.
And I discovered a whole lot of things. So I realized that on a daily basis, I actually go from density to density, and it all has to do with the way I look at things.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course, but it was not so clear to me that it's simply so easy.
Yes.
So I said to myself, okay, you are part of this. You also created this. So what's the present? What's the present this is bringing you? And then everything shifted, and inside me, everything shifted. So my sadness, it was gone. I was back in my heart. But then I said, okay, this is probably what Bashar is always talking about going to another earth, parallel realities, and things. And then I said, okay, but if I'm on another earth, why does my outer reality still stays the same? But
it's not the same. It's not the same.
Okay. But when it's the same in my head then probably. And that's all it is.
Yes.
So when I come into this room, in my head, I know there are several things in this room.
Yes.
And that's why it stays the same. So when I can bring myself to the belief that...
One moment.
Yeah.
There is a joke that exists on your planet that is a perfect illustration of this idea. The joke is, someone says, I came home one day to find that every single thing in my house had been stolen and replaced with an exactly identical copy. Do you understand? It may look the same, but it's not the same.
Yeah. This is so amazing, because I have apparently this little voice in my head that tells me the same thing, but I'm not allowing myself to believe my inner knowing.
Yes. Well, there you go. You've solved your issue.
Yeah.
Now all you have to do is find the belief system that keeps you from knowing what you say you do in fact know.
It seems that I'm not allowing it, because Why
not? Yes.
Well, I don't know.
Well, yes, you do. Because you just have to ask the right question of yourself. And that question usually is, if I allowed myself to know this is true, what am I afraid of?
What am I afraid of?
Yes. If you allowed yourself to know these things, what are you afraid will happen? Are you afraid you'll be thought of as crazy? Are you afraid you will lose people in your life?
I think that I might be holding on to my childhood, because I wanted to ask you what is the highest perspective that my parents, and then especially my mother and I, chose to be in each other's life this lifetime, because I think this is a huge part of everything in my life.
Yes, well, the question is, what would you otherwise not have learned had you not been in each other's lives?
But can it be that simple that what she did was reject me in every way? But I didn't realize that I was rejecting myself.
Well, there you go. That's one lesson you have learned because of the situation that you agreed to participate in.
But that's what we do as humans.
No, that's what you do when you learn to do those things. It is not natural to humans to be that way. It's a learned experience down through the generations. It's not done just because you're human.
Oh, but maybe I didn't express myself. How can wait, where was I?
The idea that you are talking about is something that certainly has become a habit in human society. What I'm saying is it's not your natural state to reject each other.
No, but I have been canceling out this natural state since my childhood. That's the truth. That's, yes.
So you gave yourself something to change, something to transform, something to learn how to transform. Most of you don't understand this. You give yourself certain experiences of darkness so you can learn to transform the darkness into light, because there are much bigger things coming up in the future that you will have to have had the practice transforming those personal things in order to be able to transform larger collective things in the future.
And is this because I'm holding on to childhood stuff that I'm afraid of my power? Because I think that we humans have a whole lot of power.
Of course you do. You're creating your reality experience. You have to have power to do that. But let me ask you a question. If you understand that you're shifting through different parallel realities and that you are truly a different person every moment, is the childhood you're referring to actually still your childhood?
No, but it is a good box of awareness for me.
Take what works from it and recreate that, but you don't have to take all of it if all of it doesn't work for the person you are now.
Yeah.
You get to decide.
I can decide. I can choose. I want two other things, if I may.
Quickly.
Yes. Cats can come back. That's my experience. One of my cats died, and she came back. It's not exactly.
No, she didn't come back.
But it's a part of her.
The energy connection may be very similar, but it's not the same cat.
It's not the same cat. She's not the same, but there were different things. It's a whole story, and we don't really have time.
But the cat that you have is reflecting certain similar vibrational frequencies to your other cat for a variety of purposes. One of which would be to recognize that that frequency is back in your life. That's why you think it's the same cat, but it's the same frequency.
Yeah, okay. And then the guidance from our body is something that is really fascinating. Yes. So when I'm not willing to stand in my power, I have trouble with my feet and my legs. Would you agree?
Yes.
So really, that's simple.
It is. It's one of the things we have been saying for 38 years on your planet. It's simpler than you think. Thank you for your recognition.
And it's up to me to really accept it and live it.
It is.
That's what I'm here to do.
It's not up to anyone else.
Oh, that's so great, so great, so great. Okay, and when I feel, very last question, when I feel tension in my body, it can be just as simple as a part of me that is saying, hey, you're leaving yourself again. Go back to your heart.
Yes, you can use it as a guiding mechanism if the tension you're referring to seems to be out of place or out of alignment with who you prefer to be, yes.
This is so amazing. So I am really right on. Oh, great.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Thank you, Bashar. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Bye-bye.
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 Hello, Bashar. My name is Matias and I'm from Argentina. My question is, recently I've been dreaming about another house. another life I feel. Living in a house I don't recognize, but in some way I do recognize. Going into a supermarket and buying things for a travel with friends I don't know, but somehow I know that they exist. And today I felt how lonely and sad that counterpart feels. What is this? How does this relate to my actual experience, and how can I best help and be helped by the counterparts that I am connected to? Thank you.
As you expand your consciousness, many of you will start to perceive parallel versions of yourselves in other realities. The ones that you may feel need help, need assistance, you can become their mentors. You can send them positive energy. You can inspire them by sending different kinds of thoughts or examples of your own life along the energetic connection you may have to them. And therefore, it may help them brighten their own reality up. For those you feel you can learn something from, you can download information and experience along those energetic connections that you all make to a variety of versions of yourselves in different parallel realities. But being more aware and experiencing more viscerally the different parallel realities is one of the symptoms, shall we say, of the expansion of consciousness at this time.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
It is wonderful to be here with you today. Thank you so much.
And thank you as well for the co-creation.
I have two topics that I would like to touch upon today. And the first one being the inner child.
Yes.
During the months of COVID, I did lots of deep dives into my own inner child work, read lots of books, listened to lots of people. This past March, during your transmission, you touched upon childhood trauma and the inner child. And after that, I needed to put all my work away. I needed to reevaluate, reassess. So my questions to you today are not about recreating childhood trauma in the present moment. It's about the relationship that I feel that I formed speaking to my inner child through dialogue, whether written, verbal, or mental.
Yes.
So when I would feel emotion, I would recognize whatever I recognize, and then I would turn my attention inward and have a dialogue with what I perceive to be that little girl within me.
All right.
So my questions for you today are, who is it that I am really speaking to? What am I actually doing when I am in this practice? And why does it feel so good to acknowledge her insecurities or her fears?
Because you can't invalidate any portion of your own consciousness. She is a portion of your consciousness. In the same way, to use a crude analogy, that the child you were in kindergarten is still a piece of you, even though you have grown into an adult. You don't necessarily think like her anymore. You don't act like her anymore, at least not all the time. But the idea is that you have gone beyond her, but you still contain her. So you're speaking to another aspect of your own consciousness. And because you acknowledge it, because you support it, because you listen to it, because you dialogue with that aspect of your being and don't invalidate it, it allows you to operate more as a whole person between all of the different aspects or portions or reflections that exist within you. One phrase we have for this idea is you're experiencing a healthy multiple personality order by doing this.
Okay.
Does that help?
It does help. So this is a good service that I'm offering myself and or my clients by doing this practice of turning my attention inward and dialoguing with an aspect of myself.
Yes, if it is your passion to do it that way, then it's absolutely what you need to be doing.
Okay. And what about these experts who talk about reclaiming our childhood? What would you say to that?
Well, it depends on what they mean by that phrase.
So when it comes to inner child work,
Yeah.
It is going back, revisiting,
Yes.
and reclaiming parts of the childhood that we did not have, that we were missing, and then reparenting ourselves.
That's fine. Whether they know it or not, it's a reference to the idea that as you change yourself, you actually have a different past and therefore a different childhood. So in other words, you can actually make a connection to the idea of a different child within you as the new personality you are now. And that's one version of reclaiming your childhood, creating the version that would work for the person you are now, that would grow into the person you have become now. So different people may mean different things by that phrase, and we can't necessarily attest to the idea that they all think the way we have just described, but nevertheless, that's one way of looking at it.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Bashar, for answering my questions, and thank you for this beautiful co-creation.
Thank you for asking them. Good day.
Good day.
Hi Bashar, this is Rokas from Lithuania. I'd like to ask you, when we are going to go through the life review, if we choose to do that after death, will we review the history that we remember at the moment of dying, or will we review all the different histories that we have gone through and shifted through our lifetime?
Whatever is relevant for the theme you are exploring. It might be what appears to be a single history. It might be a multitude of them. Whatever is relevant for the theme you are exploring and what will advise you best and inform you best for the choices that you will next make.
Hey there. Hey, Bashar.
Good day. Good day.
First of all, it's an honor to meet you. Thank you and Darryl for doing all the work that you are doing.
Our passion and our pleasure.
I have a few topics, so let's just dive right into it. First, I want to ask you questions about, more about yourself and the Sasani.
Yes.
I know that you followed in the footsteps of your father, right, to become a contact specialist.
Yes.
What drove you to do that, and what other sort of career paths or life paths are available on your planet?
Well, many. I am also a sculptor. That's part of my passion, expression. An explorer in general, in pure form. That's also part of my passion. And there are many other kinds of artistic or exploratory endeavors or encounters that can be had. Some people are directly, literally, living among other civilizations that are not our own to learn from them in a variety of ways. In the same way that you might visit a different country and live among the people there to pick up on and understand more clearly their ways of doing things, their expression of creation. There are many things that we can do.
Gotcha. So it's all really driven by sort of whatever is exciting, whatever is creative.
Whatever is the key frequency of our being at any given moment, yes.
You've channeled for over 30 Earth years through Darryl, and what's been your experience of that passage of time? Is it the same length, or is it more sort of, compressed?
It's much more compressed. A conversation we may have with you today and a conversation we may have with you a year from now in your time may actually, from our perspective, be back to back.
Mm.
It just depends on what is necessary for our understanding of the content of the conversation. Sometimes there may be a need to understand that time has passed in your experience. Sometimes there may be no need for that at all.
Interesting. Okay. And then how many other, contact specialists are in contact with people on Earth right now?
It fluctuates, but the average is around 150 from our civilization.
Oh, wow. And then there's others from the IL and other civilizations as well.
Yes.
Gotcha. Interesting. Okay, so on your planet, you had the Shikana experience, right?
Yes.
And before that experience, what was the civilization like? Like, for example, did you have money? Like, what was life like?
We've never really had money. We had much more of a head start evolutionarily than you have. But the idea is that we still had the experience of negativity. We still had some experience of disease and separation and so on and so forth. But we got to a point where the scales were tipped by the majority of the energy focusing in a more positive direction, which then brought about the reflection of the Shikana experience for all, who at least were open and willing to experience it that way. Those that did not, those that had another path, instantly disappeared from our civilization.
When you say instantly disappeared, what do you mean by that?
They shifted to another reality where we could no longer perceive them.
I see. Gotcha. Fascinating. Okay. Well, I guess on that thread, let's talk about the Earth's transition that we're in right now. So it's really exciting to hear there's going to be more crafts and things like that.
Yes.
Are there any particular places you'd recommend people gather or go to?
Wherever you are attracted to, although we have already said that Joshua Tree area is very important energetically as a vortex that has to do with the crossing and passage of many different civilizations, or let's just say it's a major traffic line.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so what about sort of the role of technology on Earth? So right now we have tools like this that allow us to create sort of a shared connection and empathy, but we have also other technology that creates more separation.
Yes.
So is it better for us to use these tools as sort of a stepping stone to build that ability for intuitive connection? Or is it better just drop the whole technology and just focus on those more intuitive?
Different people will do it in different ways. There's no one right way to do it. Different people will do it in different ways. Depends on how they relate to the idea.
Gotcha. Okay. And then we're also dealing with climate change. And you mentioned previously that spreading particles of gold is sort of one method. Why is that something that would actually help?
Because it reflects the idea of sunlight back out into space and lowers the temperature of the planet.
Gotcha.
And it's also inert and lasts essentially forever. It doesn't decay.
That makes sense. And so is that the same reason that the Anu people originally came to Earth?
Yes.
Were they also dealing with that sort of similar style of climate change?
Even worse.
Interesting. Okay, so another topic, parallel incarnation. So you've shared that there are souls and then oversouls and so on.
Yes.
But at the same time, we have the ability to connect to any sort of parallel incarnation that's ever been in existence.
That is relevant for you to connect to, not anything.
Oh, interesting.
If it's not relevant, you won't connect to it, because why should you if it's not relevant?
Yeah. And so do you have like a limited number of souls as a part of your own oversoul?
Well, the entire population of our planet is much lower than yours. On average, it remains relatively stable, give or take, around 300 million.
Okay.
So in a sense, we generally, with a few exceptions for a variety of reasons, sort of all relate to a single oversoul for our civilization.
And so for humans, is it similar? Is it more like 7 per oversoul, then eventually you get the human oversoul?
The idea of the 7 billion people on your planet is generally representative, even though this also fluctuates, of between about 300 to 500,000 oversouls.
Interesting. Okay. And now, let's say
that's not evenly divided.
Yeah.
You can't just say, well, it's X per oversoul. It constantly fluctuates, but that's the average.
Now, you've also shared in the past that there are these parallel incarnation charts, right, that tell you
the pin charts. Yes,
the pin charts. So does that mean that one soul, or rather one oversoul, has multiple incarnations at different timelines?
Yes. Usually that's the case. Some pin charts may be adventurous enough to go into more than one oversoul, but generally that's not the case.
Okay, gotcha. Let's talk about the formula.
Yes.
So I know you've shared a lot about this. And you may have already shared this particular aspect of it, but one question that I've had is, sometimes it's hard to tell if there is an excitement, there's other work that needs to be done that may not be as exciting, right?
Then you are either making it not exciting or it really isn't your way. There's always another way. If the work really needs to be done, there's always an exciting way. If it really isn't part of your excitement, then that work may not need to be done and something else may take its place. So again, the first thing to always check is, am I dampening the excitement because of my belief systems? Once you've cleared that through yourself and you realize you're not the one preventing yourself from being excited because you might be doing it in a way that is not exciting for you, you might have certain beliefs about what would happen if you did go forward, and so on and so forth. Once you clear all that out of the way, if the excitement is naturally waning, then that's synchronicity telling you, go in another direction. go in the exciting direction, even if it looks like it's not connected. What is most passionate for you at this moment tells you it's connected, even if it doesn't look like it could be connected on the surface. It's the thread of excitement that tells you it's connected.
Gotcha. Okay. Then let's talk about the 5 laws. So you shared that everything is in the here and now, and that the past actually extends from the now.
Yes.
So you've also shared that it's possible to technically change the past that you're connected to.
Well,
Does that
yes.
mean that
It happens automatically.
Yeah. Okay. So does that mean that if somebody had a traumatic experience and they believe that they never did, or are they now connecting to another version of themselves that never did? And if so, is that a way of bypassing that sort of experience?
Well, yes, in a sense. But the thing of it is it can't be used, in a sense, as a denial mechanism. It actually has to be truly an understanding that you are truly a different person and that the so-called other past has nothing to do with who you are now.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be used as a denial or a glossing over mechanism. Oh, well, I'm different, so now I have to pay attention to the fact that I'm still creating all these negative beliefs based on the idea of an experience that happened in childhood. Can't be that. Can't ignore what you're creating in the moment. But if you're truly changing, this is what we often refer to as the 13th step. You really have a deep experiential understanding that you are a new person. And many times when you really understand and experience that you are a new person, though there may be some reasons to still refer to the past belonging to the other person that quote unquote you used to be, very often when you really are a new person, there's nothing to remember because it doesn't relate to you anymore.
That's gonna be my next question. So if you are truly that new person, you don't even remember being that old person.
In many cases, correct.
And so in a way, as you're growing, you may not even be aware that you're growing.
Well, you'll be aware in some sense, but it may not be that way.
Hmm.
You'll always have some sense of measure of change, but it may not be that particular technique that you use.
Interesting. Okay. That's very fascinating. And then my last question is, when folks are doing meditation, when they're doing something like Vipassana, we're able to get into these more expanded states of being.
Yes.
What exactly is that? And then
what do you mean, what exactly is that? You're aligning with more of yourselves, more of the parallel realities, more of creation. You're expanding your consciousness to be more aware of the connections you already have. It's a meditation technique. It's a permission slip like anything else. Some people will find it valuable and some people will find other things.
Gotcha. Awesome.
All right.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good day.
Good day.